XX are an indie slash dream pop band from the UK. They were formed in London in 2005, and they are Romy Madley Croft on guitar and vocals, Oliver Sim on bass and vocals, and Jamie XX on beats and production. So by beats is basically as a drum programmer. They've released 3 albums and they have won lots of awards and been nominated for many more. Hi, my name's Dan, and this is a review of the album Coexist by the XX, which was released in 2012 and was their second album, and it's my first encounter with them. So I had no idea what to expect when this was coming up in my rotation. It's been described as indie pop slash dream pop, and possibly there's dream pop. I can kind of hear that, but it's not what I expect from dream pop, and we'll dig into that. So it's is empty, is minimalist in a non-technical sense. So classical music minimalism isn't kind of lots of things out. The minimal thing about it is minimal in terms of little changes over time. But there's often quite a lot going on in minimalism. This is different. This is stuff where there's often very little going on. So this feels very empty, like a white room with one small table in it. And the majority of the musical elements here are a slightly echoey, jangly guitar sound, which is the same sound all the way through, a bass, and drum machine beats. It's got a very unified sound through the whole album. But basically, it's got pretty much the same aesthetic. So it's one of these albums where they go, we've got an aesthetic, we want to get this across, we're going to do several tracks with slight variations in that, but there is an overall feel to it. And so at times, we only have one of the elements going on. Rarely all 3, but sometimes. There's also at times there's some keyboard playing, there's some string playing, but it's very emptied out. So it occasionally would say has things that are like classical minimalism, like repeated arpeggios, a bit like Michael Nyman's film score stuff. And then for some songs, there's a bit more going on. So, like the single Chain, which is almost dancey, it's got everything going on at once, and it has a bit more fullness to it. Structurally, though, I can see why people have said indie rock. It doesn't have obviously with this kind of stripped back feel, it doesn't have that kind of strong, full feel that indie rock has. But it's as if they've written indie songs and then made demos of them, and then thought through which elements here are people actually going to listen to, and then taken everything else out. So they're not afraid of space and silence. On top of that musical backing, then is the singing. And this is the bit that I would say is less more dream poppy. So we've got 2 singers. We've got Romy, I don't know how it's pronounced, who's a female voice, and Oliver, who's a masculine voice. And they're close mic'd and intimate, but they're not what I think of as dream vocals, which is kind of distant and reverbed. There is some reverb on them, but they're more close. The overall aesthetic of this, actually, I think is quite charming. I quite enjoyed it, with a hint of melancholy. Romy especially has a nice voice. It's very nice to listen to. The general themes here are emotional vulnerabilities and breakup. It's kind of generally got a bittersweet feel. The stuff that they've done with this emptying things out, I think, is done really well, because at no point does it feel like it doesn't have what it needs to structurally work, even if that's just kind of a few guitar notes. They're done clearly enough to give it the backbone for the singing to go on top. And there are things on here on paper that I might not react well to, but because the aesthetic is pulled off so well, I think that actually is good. And that's definitely the selling point of the album, is this particular aesthetic that they've got, which is unusual but effective, I would say. So that's what I think of this album. And I've got to this point again when I'm going to invite you to tell me what you think of this album. So please, will you tell me what you think of this album and leave me a comment? But that's it from me for now.
We bide our time, though the time is fine. Oh, to be